Well, guys, it is great to have you here, and it's always fun to bring folks up to speed on great things that are happening in Atlanta. And Brett, let's start with you with the overview. Maybe an update, phase one of the arena transformation. What's going on? And grab a microphone there. You got one next to you there?
Check.
Perfect, thanks.
So project is really looking at this from three different phases, right? So phase one was last summer, shut down for the entire summer, then opened up for the start of the season. Surprisingly enough, phase two during the season this year, we're doing over $25 million worth of work. And so a lot of folks are surprised to hear that because we're doing a lot of work behind curtains, right? And so if you actually in the bowl and look up on the west side of the building, you'll see the entire west side of the upper level blocked off. So we're doing a lot of work back there. We're doing a lot of work underneath the seats. So doing a lot of work right now during phase two. And then as soon as this season comes to an end, we'll finish up with Pink on April 21st. That'll be our last show. And then we will start phase three, which is over $85 million worth of work.
Oh, this will be the big lift.
This will be the big lift. We did about just over $40 million in phase one last summer, just over $25 million right now in phase two, and then over 85 during the summer next year. And it's a fast track project. We'll be working 24/7 around the clock.
Talk about how you've been able to work around the Atlanta Hawks season and actually get work done while the Hawks are in action.
Very strategically, right? So as you can imagine, a lot of demo is happening. We're working in really 5 major zones in and around the building. And so a lot of that demo happens during the day. And so strategically we have to schedule that with shoot-arounds, no work on game days or limited work, and then on our off days. And so it becomes a real group effort to strategize on how we figure that out. And number one, with everybody that's interacting in and around the building, but also obviously with our construction team and their planning and scheduling as well.
Okay, a little bit of news you just made for me. So it's April, was it 21st you said was the Pink show?
April 21st, we have Pink at Phillips Arena. That'll be the last show.
Okay, and then you shut down for, at least to the public, for a few months.
Yeah, I should say that unless there's a dramatic turnaround with the team and we see a really long playoff run. So other than that.
That'll be fine.
We would be good with that.
Yeah.
Like we would be good with a late June start. So you never know.
Contingencies, man, contingencies. Bobby, welcome. Appreciate you being here, and welcome to, how long have you been in Atlanta?
It'll be a year next month, but previously, before the Miami Heat stint, I was here for 10 years.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm glad you cleared that up then. Well, we'll talk a little bit about your job, what you have to do to coordinate all this and dovetail everything, and your experience from what's happened in the rest of the country to bring about this great renovation project.
Yeah, you know, the 20 years experience I have, I've learned a lot about, you know, how to really plan the space so that people like Joe and his team can execute the best experience for our guests. And, you know, all that information, you know, working with Brett and HOK, the architect, S2O, the food equipment folks that design the stands and kitchens, you know, just really working with them to make sure that the culinary team has what they need to produce, you know, restaurant quality food.
What kinds of things would you have to procure to make that happen?
I think we procured this year in phase one the largest smoker we could fit under a hood in our concessions kitchen.
Whoa, really? How big was it? Big enough to drive a car in or something? Or?
No, it's not as big as you would think, but
Okay.
we're producing, you know, I think you know, a couple 100 pounds of smoked wings for every game, and Joe knows more details about that. We have a smoked brisket on the club side that his team has really done well with, but without the right equipment, we can't do it at all.
No kidding. Well, let's welcome Joe Schafer into the conversation.
Thank you.
I mean, obviously you're a trained chef, and you could cook anywhere and cook just about anything. But what a transition to go from Bacchanalia, where you're preparing little things, little bites, right, to some big bites for some big appetites in a big arena. Talk about that challenge.
Well, so first of all, for me, I was kind of looking to do something a little bit different, right? I found it. So, I had really no plan. I was just thinking I've been doing this for a long time, fine dining or at least nice restaurants for my entire career, about 22 years, and was kind of looking to change something up, learn something new, and this kind of came my way, and it was a great opportunity, so I jumped on it. And, my role, just getting in and working with these guys, I was really excited about the direction, right? I wouldn't have jumped on if I didn't feel like I could do what I do, right? So I like to bring the chef-driven restaurant quality aspect to the game, and really kind of step the level. I like the challenge of coming into a situation where the expectation is that the food needs to be transformed a lot, above and beyond, way above and beyond what people.
So you want people walking away talking about the food as well as the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I want people to be able to plan on eating dinner at the arena, not go somewhere first.
There
That's
you
that's
go.
the goal. Right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, speak to that just a little bit. Some of the unique things you've been able to accomplish in the transition here as executive chef at Phillips Arena.
We've done quite a bit, I think, in our first, a little over halfway through the first season. So, we've partnered with Georgia Grown. We've got, we're starting to bring in local products, which is not something that's generally, I guess, focused on in this side of the business. Or from what I gather, it's not anyway. I can't really speak to everybody, but, we brought in Springer Mountain Chicken, which is a, Georgia Grown, we work with them.
North Georgia, sure.
So all of the chicken in the arena is Springer Mountain. That's probably one of the only ones that we could probably get the volume we need and the quality we want, right? So we're getting in that direction, and we are currently working with our vendors to isolate some of the Georgia farms that a lot of the produce comes from, so we can make sure that as much of our stuff is local as possible, right?
So, I mean, when you get right down to it, are you saying, I'm going to make people remember this hot dog? Or is it, or is it something a little more esoteric than that, something a little finer than that?
It's all those things.
Okay.
It's everything from the hot dog to the lamb that we roast for Courtside Club. Like it's, so
yeah.
it's every little thing. It's about the product. It's not about the plate, right? So it's a philosophy you go into cooking with, knowing that if you don't have good products, you don't have good food, and that's just the way it works. You can't take something that's not good and turn it into something good. Like, It just doesn't work that
Garbage
way.
in, garbage out,
Yeah,
right?
you
Just like
can't-
computers.
It doesn't work. So you got to procure a good product, have the resources to do so, which we do, and bring them in, and then have a team that can not screw it up. So
There
that's
you
where
go.
I come in. So
It's hard to be local, isn't it? I mean,
it
when
is.
you
Yeah.
get right down to it.
The produce especially travels a long distance, and it just at the minute it's picked, it starts going right. It's dead
Yeah.
then, right? So
Yeah.
it's getting worse and worse as the days pass. So the closer to the product we can be, the better the quality we're going to be able to produce.
We appreciate Georgia Grown helping us tell this story today as well. Appreciate your co-sponsorship with this event. Let's get back to the update aspect of this little discussion, the new Courtside Club and the Hawks Bar. Brett, bring us up to speed on that.
I'll tell you, in general, real quick, just to touch on these guys. I mean, they've been here for just under or right at a year. Joe, a little bit less than that. But, this is a full transformation of our entire experience at the arena, right? And the food and bev is a really big part of that from a fan's perspective. And so, a year and a half ago when I joined the organization, how do we really focus in on changing the food experience for our fans, right? And that we took a really long, hard look at what changes we needed to make within the organization, right, to make that happen. And bringing on Bobby was a big part of that. I mean, he comes, as you said, with over 20 years of experience in the food and bev industry. He's used to mass service like this. He's worked with the Atlanta Braves. He's worked with the Miami Heat. He's worked on the college level. And so tons of great experience. And then what was that X factor? And for us, right, not just on the food and bev side, but we're looking across the board for what is that X factor, right, in the arena that really makes a great night out, a really cool experience, a really unique experience for our fans, right? And so on the food and bev side, that's Joe, right? Joe's the X factor, right? Like there's not a lot of buildings across the country that go out and hire really the best executive chef in your city to come in and work in mass food service like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the largest restaurant in the city of Atlanta really serving our fans, right, at least from an NBA perspective. And Joe's been awesome. And so you referenced the Courtside Club. That's really the first transition or first public-facing experience as part of this transformation. And the feedback that we have been getting has been fantastic. Like the food's unbelievable. In fact, the owner, Tony Ressler, walked by me last night and said, "Food and Courtside Club tonight is just amazing. It's awesome."
You want to hear that, don't you?
Right, right. So like, when he's happy, we're happy, and our
Yeah.
fans are happy, and the feedback's just been amazing on the premium side. Those folks, for them to come out on a game night, and the team has been struggling, right? But for them to come out and say, "Listen, it's still an awesome night out." Right? Like we can come here, we can get a great meal, we can eat dinner here, as Joe just indicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can eat dinner here and have a great night with our family and our friends, or from a business perspective, entertain, right? And catch some basketball at the same time, right? Like it's a great night out.
Exactly. And Bobby, speak a little bit more as Vice President of Hospitality and Strategy. You touched on some of the infrastructure that you're going to have to put in, like the biggest smoker probably that in the city of Atlanta. Build that out a little bit for us, the kinds of things that are going to have to be done to make this whole dream come true.
Yeah, the beauty of this renovation for me, really, being in the business so long and seeing some of the buildings that I've worked in, knowing that the light at the end of the tunnel is brand new equipment in every concession stand. We're adding 2 kitchens onto our current infrastructure so that we can produce restaurant quality food for the masses. And then, adding these premium locations for the guest, that inclusive experience when they don't have to reach into their pocket once they come inside the door. That's a big deal for a lot of people. They're entertaining guests, and, when you have to pull out your credit card for food, it gets difficult. So, we're trying to make that experience seamless through this renovation and using top-notch equipment, getting all new equipment. The arena's coming up on 20 years old, and, although things have happened over those 20 years, to get a fresh start is it's really different and amazing for us coming into a situation like this. And then, outside of the equipment and the renovation, it's all about training.
Okay, yeah, great.
We want to bring Southern hospitality inside the arena. And this year, we spent a lot of hours, renting space at Georgia World Congress Center to train our folks on the expectation that we have, as well as the Hawks, and ultimately our guests. So this summer, we'll be closed, but we're going to spend a lot of time training our folks so they can meet the expectation when we open the doors back up.
Well, what
I
kinds of
think,
things
I
do you
think
do?
a couple things to add there. So we talk
Yeah.
about equipment, right? I mean, we went in with a $7 million-ish budget, right, on the equipment side, and we've made the decision as an organization to spend well above and beyond that, to the tune of almost $3 million above and beyond that original budget, because we want to make sure we get it right. Again, Joe coming on just recently, Bobby just recently, they had a lot of opportunities to impact and influence a lot of the decisions we were making as we were buying the equipment. So there was definitely a lot of changes made, right? We definitely looked at our strategy much differently, given their vision on the food program. But a lot of what we're doing too is investing in speed of service, right? And so laying out these kitchens differently, right? These concession stands differently. What is that experience like? That's a direct impact on the fan experience, right? And getting them through the lines a lot faster and back to the action or back to their friends or whatever it is they're doing there at the game that night or event that night. And so Bobby's been a real heavy influence on speed of service and his experience with that down in Miami and what they were able to do down there. We truly think that we're going to see some significant increases in the fan experience as it relates to that.
Along with speed of service, I'm fascinated by this because you talk to anybody from Ritz-Carlton to Chick-fil-A. If people feel like they're being treated well, they're gonna enjoy themselves more. So what kinds of things are you putting into that training for your folks, other than being very efficient, as Brett said?
Yeah, not to simplify it, but the warm welcome first, right? We want them to know that they're true guests in our home. And then, really walking them through the process. This order fulfillment process we're testing out this year and really engaging our staff in the process so that when we open the doors next year, it's not brand new. But just getting the guests through the process, suggesting food. If you go to Chops on the club side, that we have a rendition of Joe's French dip burger over there. And when you see it, it's better explained. Tell them what it is, tell them where it came from, and really, really educate the fan on what we can offer. It's not just about the hot dog anymore. We're going to sell a lot of hot dogs, we're going to sell a ton of chicken fingers, but what else can we do? And really, we can put signage up, but if we're not talking to the guests, they're not going to really know what to expect or what we have to offer. And then, again, the fond farewell to close that loop with our guests. We want guests, repeat guests, every single night, every single season, concerts, So whatever we can do to educate the staff to really engage with the fan, then, that's where we're going. And, we have programs in Levy that are helping us get to that point, but we're also working with the Hawks and the programs they're bringing to the table on that Southern hospitality.
It sounds like you're just as concerned with how much people enjoy the meal as to how they feel about it once it's done, because people quite often won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how they felt about it. You want to walk us maybe through some of the menu items here that you're thinking about here? Obviously, we just heard about the burger. I mean, I can't wait to try that.
Yeah, so for concessions, the French dip burger is one of the big ones that we're doing now. The chicken tenders in the building, like Bobby mentioned previously, is all fresh and hand breaded. We're not doing any frozen product there, so that's a big one in my opinion. That took that took specialized equipment. It took a lot of labor and a lot of like thought and process to figure out how to kind of pull that off for everything, and we're doing it. We've Courtside Club is that menu changes every game for the most part. So we basically offer probably 4 to 5 protein options and 3 to 5 vegetable options, a couple cold items, different displays, cold or hot, big dessert displays, things like that. And that menu really is. I want to change that all the time because that could be the same people coming back every game, right? Because those are season ticket people, feet on the floor. All inclusive, so they need to see some different stuff. So sometimes we go culturally thematic, or like last night was kind of an Asian menu, or we just kind of do. My background in particular is technique-wise is French, so I like a lot of that kind of French technique. I'm a big chop house, steakhouse guy, so that I kind of gravitate towards that. Fortunately, a lot of people that come to the Hawks games like that stuff too, so we're pulling it off. But just that one's exciting because we can. That's a huge. Not that. Finding a process to do the right chicken tender is not fun and cool, but for my guys that are working in that club, they get to see different food every day. So it keeps them interested as well, and that's part of my training process. So.
Yeah, because they're jazzed about it.
Yeah,
when
I was looking to find people to come work with me, they're like, I don't want to make hot dogs, man. Like, I'm not doing that. There's hot dogs, but there's more than that. So, keeping those guys interested and making them want to hang out, come back next season, possibly be promoted to a next level, take over a whole area on their own. That part of that building feeds a lot of people, so to speak. So we feed the people that actually come in and eat, and we feed the creativity of the people that work for me, and it keeps them interested, and they get more excited, and they want to build up.
Well, what do you think about that philosophy? I see heads nodding over here. I wish we could do that in every business. So it sounds like you're concerned with fresh, and Georgia Grown's helping you with that.
Very much so.
Interesting. To keep everybody jazzed with creativity and diverse.
Yes, very much so.
As well. Am I leaving anything out?
No, I mean, the diversity part of it also challenges us, like things that I've never cooked before, or things I've never done at this scale before. Like it's a challenge to figure out how to do it for the arena, and so far so good. So.
What about the affordability factor? You want to speak to that here? I mean, obviously you want people to come have a great night at Phillips Arena, not just, get something to eat along the way. It sounds like, if they're saving on parking and everything else someplace else, they're going to save money before they walk in the door.
So we are taking a really detailed look at what our pricing strategy looks like. And so Levy has a division, E15, their analytics division, that's helping us to really look at and evaluate what our pricing should be, look at the local market and determine what that should be. So we're doing that actually currently, and so we'll have a plan, I think, better developed over the coming months. One of the things that we will be launching, and this will be a little shy on detail, but we will be launching, what's the term, for our season ticket members, season ticket member pricing, right? And so they'll have a unique benefit or perk since they're a family member of ours, right, that will help on the concessions pricing.
Okay.
I didn't say that really well, but
no, I get it. But but you're thinking ahead, so people kind of know what to expect.
Yeah, and so it's a benefit, it's a perk to our season ticket members, right? So we'll have some reduced pricing for them, and we're trying to figure out exactly what that is, and so we'll have that nailed down, I think, in the coming months.
I've got a couple of more questions. Anyone in the audience have any questions for our terrific panel here? If you don't, I got a couple of more that I'm dying to ask. I want a technology update. I mean, this has been one of the great things that we've talked about with you before, Brett, what's actually happening. And Bobby, you weigh in on this as well. I mean, obviously everybody knows about the terrific, the laser images on the court and all that sort of stuff. How is that going to play into the interactive experience for the fans in the new place?
So technology is obviously a big part of the transformation. Wi-Fi connectivity is really important to us, so we're completely redoing our Wi-Fi system. Our distributed antenna system, our DAS system, which is for cell phones, will be updated as well. And then you look at what we're going to launch on the food and bev side specifically with the brand new POS system. We're looking at interactive kiosks so that people can come in and order from a kiosk. We're removing the soda fountains off of the concession stands, much like Mercedes-Benz did, right? So you'll have free refills on all of your sodas, right? And so, again, enhancing the fan experience, the speed of service in the lines. Other items from a technology perspective, all new LED product throughout the bowl. We're going to have close to 10,000 square feet of new LED product inside the bowl, new center hung scoreboard that's 3-4 times the size of the existing scoreboard. which is really hard to imagine, but it's going to be a massive center hung scoreboard. And so we partnered with Samsung and their Prism View division to bring that to life. And so we're in process of developing that now. So,
Bobby, you've been all over the country, obviously, working in this industry. How about giving Hawks fans an idea on how this new arena is going to compare with some of the other arenas in the country? Or is it going to just absolutely blow everything else away?
Yeah, the intent, the reason Joe and I are passionate about the business is because we want to be the best. We want to be different than everyone else. Yes, we will have hot dogs like we talked about, but we want a different experience for the guest. That amazing night out in the arena, like Joe said, we want you to eat at the arena, and to put off that type of cuisine for the masses is going to be a huge challenge. But that's why we work as hard as we do, to make that happen. And there's a lot of planning that'll happen between now and when we reopen or launch the new arena. But we're not going to settle for status quo. I think that'll be the difference between us and some of the other buildings throughout the country. We're going to challenge ourselves every game, and we started doing it this year with the chicken fingers. We changed our pizza product.
Mm-hmm.
We changed our hot dog. It's things like that normally you'll see businesses like this that, they pick something and they run with it for the whole season. We can't do that. We don't want to do that. We want to change as frequently as possible to make it and make it the best experience for the guest.
it goes back to that, like we talk about all the time, like Core Plus, right? You're not going to get away from the hot dog, the chicken finger. When you're at an event like this, like, you'd be amazed how many people want that, right? But it's the how do you take it to the next level, right? Core Plus, right? How do you take it to the next level? As an example, the chicken finger that Joe referenced earlier, right? It's fresh, right? And so fresh, local, like those are the types of things that you take from a hot dog to a chicken finger to a pizza and really make it something special and different, unique.
And Joe, you're the chef. Well, the final word from you here. It sounds like you guys are determined not to take anything for granted here. Everything's going to have a touch to it.
No, yeah, definitely not. I mean, the devil's in the details, right? So anything that gets kind of taken for granted or looked over or just kind of left behind is not where we want to live. Like if we're having those kinds of issues, we need to kind of reevaluate what we're doing. So we really want every single thing that we put our hands on that comes in the door and goes out to the guest to be as good as it could possibly be. That's the world I come from. There is no exception to that, in my opinion. That is just what you do. So that's what we're going to do,
New dynamic leadership on the business side and now the culinary side. Brett, it's great to get this update from you.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah, we've had a blast. I mean, this transformation is truly going to change the overall fan experience in our building like anything you can't imagine. Like I've had conversations with folks throughout this season, and they can't get their arms around the level and the amount of work that we're prepared to do this upcoming summer, and it's truly going to transform the building. We're really excited about it.
Okay, one more thing here. Do you have a finish date in mind? Obviously, we're going to take some time off during the summer after the Hawks go to the playoffs,
right?
Miraculously, which is okay.
Yep,
I believe
we're good with that.
Yep,
but as of right now, we're scheduled to finish on October 15th. That will be our final day of construction, and then we will open up the building after that. And so I would estimate that we'll open the building with a Hawks game. We don't know the schedule yet, right? And so as soon as that schedule comes out and is released, we'll know for sure. But the hopes are we open with a Hawks home game, and we definitely have some great concerts and shows lined up for the fall next year that are knocking on the door and ready to announce here in the next couple months. And so,
can you say anything today?
We did just announce. Did we announce that? Hold on. We did.
Yes, it's just
we did.
us.
Sorry, we did. I just got we had a lot going on. So we just announced Elton John's, right? So Elton John's coming on the 30th and the 1st, right, for 2 back-to-back shows, and so we're super excited about that. But we've got a really great slate lined up with some things that we haven't announced yet. So
okay, but would you keep us informed? Well, we love doing this. We really do.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to come back and we can grind through whatever else you want to. It's a lot of fun. We love being here. So thank you.
Wonderful, Brett, Bobby, Joe. Thanks for all you're doing.
Of course,
guys. Looking forward to seeing all your great work.
Thank you,
ladies and gentlemen. What do you think? Huh? Nicely done.
Always a pleasure.